Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number point 1. All parents should have received a copy of information about the Westfield High School Wildfire Action Plan sent home with students at the start of the year. Westfield. It is vital that all students and staff know what to do should we face a wildfire. The seriousness of this plan has been carefully explained to all students. The weather conditions for the start of this year have been quite mild, but the risk of fire has still been extreme, making it critical that all students and staff know what to do. The whole school rehearsed our evacuation to the Edenville Sports Center, the designated wildfire refuge in a wildfire situation, and emergency lockdown procedures during the first week of school. Edenville. The students were impressive with a mature and serious approach to the drills and should be praised for this. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number point 2. Suppose that you and I are discussing the current President of the United States. I feel that he is the best president we have ever had. You totally disagree and feel that he is the worst one we have ever had. In the discussion that follows, you ask, why do you think he is the most important or best president? I then give you a list of reasons, as well as some of the important things that he has done. Rather than trying to explain how I'm wrong or thinking up arguments about what I've said, you should try to listen to me and try to understand my position. In other words, the listener should try to hear and understand where the other person is coming from, and not prepare arguments or retaliations. The individual who is really listening tends not to interrupt and give her own point of view, but rather will ask additional questions in order to clarify and understand the other person's position. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number point 3. William Crotch was born in 1775. William Crotch 1775. When he was only 2 years of age he showed a great enjoyment in music and could pick out on the organ keys such tunes as God Save the King. God Save the King. He would also play little melodies of his own, supplying them with a simple but correct harmony. He played before the king, royal family, and other titled personages of England, and was greeted with admiring wonder wherever his talents were displayed by his proud parents. At the age of 4 he had frequently appeared in public. He could name any tone heard by him, and took great delight in pleasant harmonies, though he could not hear a discord without expressing disgust. Crotch, though he was granted the degree of Doctor of Music in 1799 by Oxford University, and though regarded as a great musician in his day, is now almost unknown to the musical world. Crotch 1799 Oxford. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number point 4. Pet food used to be about selecting a small, medium, or large bag of whatever your local feed or grocery store stocked. Today, choosing pet food from among the hundreds of varieties in the $17 billion United States market can be a complicated task. 170. Beef, duck, vegetables, and salmon are part of today's pet diets. Once created to profit from human food manufacturing waste, the pet food industry now makes products with human-grade ingredients that sell well because people want something better for their family members who happen to be pets. The number of people purchasing pet food with human-grade ingredients is on the increase. As a result, pets truly do increase the burden on agriculture, because they are no longer eating the leftover products. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number point 5. For decades, primatologists have reported on incidents in which apes and monkeys behaved with apparent compassion. The pioneering primatologist Nadezhda Ladyjina raised a young chimpanzee named Joni in her Moscow home. Nadezhda Ladyjina Joni. Joni liked to play on the roof of her house and often refused to come down. Joni. Over time, Coates found that the best way to get Joni to come down was to appeal to his emotions. Coates Joni. She would pretend to cry, and Joni would immediately rush to her side, look about suspiciously for an offender, and comfort her by gently touching her face. Joni. Chimpanzees sometimes appear to help one another as well. Jockey, a 7-year-old chimp living at the Arnhem Zoo, in the Netherlands, observed an older caregiver named Krom trying unsuccessfully to retrieve a tire that had been filled with water. Arnhem jockey Krom. After Krom gave up in frustration, Jockey went over to the tire, removed the other tires that were blocking it, and carried it over to Krom, being careful not to spill any water. Krom Jockey, Krom. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number 6. A few years ago, the video store down the road from our house closed and moved downtown. The reason for the move was that another video store had opened downtown and was already operating successfully. Businesses of a particular type tend to gather together in the same part of town. This is not necessarily because those areas have been designated for, say, theaters or law firms. Rather, it is because no one wants their competitors to gain an advantage over them. If you set up your business near a competitor, you avoid losing any advantage that their location gives them. You also give yourself the chance to steal customers away from them. As more theaters cluster together, the area becomes known as the theater district. It is then imperative for new theaters to open in the same area or face a potential loss of patrons. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number 7. When trying to communicate a coherent message, having too many words can be just as damaging as having too few words. When revising, having too many words on the page can impede the flow of ideas. However, it is often difficult to throw things away once you have worked so hard to write them. A psychological trick to use in this situation is called the bone pile. Here you cut out those things that you think you can do without and move them down to the very bottom of the page in a section called the bone pile. This is a pile of discarded sentences and paragraphs. This gets them out of the way so you can see what you are working with. However, you know that you can still go back and retrieve them if necessary. This makes them much easier to pull out. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 1. Number 8. Licensing grants individuals formal or legal permission to practice their profession. Licenses are granted by states or even local agencies. Before a license is issued, certain formalities must be accomplished, for example, testing the applicant's knowledge and skills required. If such a test is not passed, the licensing authority may deny issuing the license. Besides testing for competence, the licensing authority also provides the licensee with a set of rules to follow to keep the license. If the rules are violated, the authority may have the right to sanction the licensee or recall the license. Clearly, a license is a privilege, not a right, and if licensees want to maintain that privilege, they must follow the prescribed code. Licenses are used as both control and educating instruments to enforce rules, laws, and certain society norms. MTC.